Modern family is one of the macro trends that we have published, but just a little bit about Stylus in so much as we are an innovation and research firm, and we work with over 300 of the world's top brands and thought leader agencies, including H&K for a number of years. And so we also look globally at consumer lifestyle, consumer product, and consumer engagement to deliver stimulation to our clients for innovation and growth. And often, of course, these macro trends are hefty pieces of research, long-term viewpoints. So then, with the limited time that I have today, I've just extracted a couple of chapters. And as you can see from the montage there are many. But today I'm just going to pick out one piece around significant others, being that the modern family is quite a different landscape now, and also family as a concept. But the key thing really is that the traditional construct of the mom, the dad, the 2.2 kids, the father being the key breadwinner, is pretty much extinct. Less than 20% of families in the US represent that model. And so, interesting here, though, that Chevrolet, their latest campaign, perfectly exemplifies the fact that while we see these shifting patterns in the construct of what family is physically, what it actually means remains the same.
They are the ones we trust with our most secret secrets, who are always there when we need them. They are family. And while what it means to be a family hasn't changed, what a family looks like has. This is the new us. Chevrolet Traverse, with the highest possible overall vehicle score for safety, for whatever shape your family takes.
And so then, looking to significant others, as I mentioned, being one of the chapters, this then is looking at how beyond mum and dad, we see these satellite carers who may be grandparents or friends. Panks is one of the groups that we'll be exploring, and that they are, in many cases as well, living in multi-generational setups. This sort of double-decker domestic setups, which in fact is the fastest growing segment in the UK in terms of accommodation types, according to the Office of National Statistics. So then Panks, what's that all about? Panks is a term that's been coined by this lady, Melanie Notkin, who identified them as a significant group, an audience that have quite major spending power. Panks stands for Professional Aunt No Kids. And her platform, Savvy Auntie, responds to the needs of this particular group, who in the US last year had a spending power of $9 billion. And so these are the sort of modern day godparents, if you like, that may then, lavish significant amounts of money and time on their nieces and nephews, but significantly also their friends' children. And in many cases as well, they're quite willing to spend time, whether it be on holiday, in their spare time with these, as a sort of extended member of the family. Also, interestingly, in a survey in Brazil, 30% of females had responded that they regularly purchase gifts and other items for children that are not theirs, and that they themselves do not have any children. So it is a significant audience. Few brands are targeting them, but here is an example of a campaign that was run around the Christmas holidays by Best Buy, and they enlisted good old Maya Rudolph in their campaign to speak directly to this audience.
It was a lady named Judy who walked out the door with a wicked Christmas list that fell down to the floor.
A Microsoft Surface tablet.
With Office 2.
A 2-in-1 Sony Vaio Tap 11 PC.
For Lou.
A powerful LG G2 smartphone.
That's some hot tech talk.
Now her nieces and nephews have holiday treasure. They'll be like, yo, Aunt Jids, you're like the best auntie ever.
Great gifts like the new Surface at your ultimate holiday showroom. Best Buy.
And we've seen a number of platforms, particularly in the US, emerging that are assisting this particular audience, as well as the Savvy Auntie platform, in helping them to decipher gift choices and kind of organize themselves in never missing that particular occasion. Also, interestingly, some opportunity there for travel companies. As yet, fully to be tapped. We see that, again, from a survey from the Savvy Auntie platform, over half of the Panks would consider going on holiday with their sort of surrogate family, if you will. But that then a couple of examples, I think Caribbean Cruises now have removed the word mother from all of their marketing copy, acknowledging that women are delaying having children. But beyond just the stripping out of copy, we have seen other examples from the likes of the Sheraton Grand in Edinburgh, creating specific packages for this audience, including what they're calling this mammoth package. So it has with it tickets to family-friendly exhibitions, all-you-can-eat free food for kids, and more importantly, this spa access for the Pank to encourage them to come along. But otherwise, in this significant other circle, we see the grandparents being ever more relied upon for childcare. And not just because of economic constraints, because it's pretty pricey, but again, because they are more involved, more energized, they're living longer, they're more sort of vibrant than they have ever been before, this particular senior generation. Staggeringly, in Shanghai, 90% of children have a grandparent as a caregiver, and half of those, it is exclusively the grandparent that is the caregiver. So we're seeing a number of brands developing products and services that speak particularly to this audience and a multi-generational audience. But it's about these new attitudes to aging because of the fact that we are living longer and that the idea of growing older has changed. And this video, this ad from Dodge, which celebrates their centenary, sums it up perfectly.
I am 106 years old, and I know a lot about life.
I want to tell the world what I have learned.
Learn from your mistakes.
Live for now, because life is good. You make it good.
You will learn not to cheat.
There are miracles all around you.
Be strong.
Always tell the truth.
Keep your eyes open and sometimes your mouth shut.
Don't complain.
Don't bitch.
Don't be afraid.
Don't always do what you're told to do. Don't be a sissy.
Suck it up.
Hesitate and you lose.
Be a bad boy.
Raise hell.
Put the pedal to the metal.
Live fast.
And never, ever forget where you came from.
And so then we're seeing this changing attitude towards the products and services that are appealing to the multi-generational audience. Example here from SeaWorld, the Empire of the Penguin ride. For the thrill seeker, there is an option for a bit more of a dynamic ride, and then for those that perhaps want a bit more of a sedate experience, there is an alternative. So it's the mild or wild options. Equally, in the travel sector and the hospitality sector, we're seeing from Caribbean Cruises and also the Crystal Cruise line, different arrangements in terms of suites. These are called their stateroom suites that have interconnecting rooms, again responding to the fact that perhaps multi-generational family holidays would appreciate this kind of setup. And even then, Brazilian beauty brand Natura is taking it a step further, creating a specific line of products for grandparents and grandchildren, including a range of fragrances that are designed specifically to help trigger memories because of the fact that olfactory memory is one of the strongest triggers. And also then an interesting platform from FamilyGram, which is a sort of a social media time machine, they call it, that enables children and other family members to create telegrams and newspapers and so on, to kind of create these stories in a format that might be more familiar to their grandparents. And then this is another example of just a great sort of pitching it just right in terms of it being authentic but still yet humorous in representing the true dynamic of a multi-generational home.
When did you know that Grandma was the one?
When her sister dumped me.
Grandpa, was my dad a good athlete?
No.
Oh, Dad, you remember my friend Alex?
Yeah, one who had the work done. Good to see you.
Where do we go when we die?
The ground. Who's your girlfriend?
His name's Chad.
And that's where babies come from.
Sometimes being too transparent can be a bad thing.
This looks good.
But not with the Oscar Mayer Deli Fresh Clear Pack. It's what you see is what you get food. It's Oscar Mayer.
And so, moving now, as I said, this is just a snapshot of some of the reports that we have under this Modern Family banner, but that just as we're seeing changing dynamics in people's sort of inner circle becoming interchangeable with their family, hence the term modern family, particularly prevalent in millennials in BRIC nations. We're seeing how in India, for example, 70% of millennials, and in Brazil, 64%, say that they count their friends as interchangeable with their family because they're migrating to the urban centers, their family are often quite distant, and that then, in terms of the family, they fulfill their social needs, their functional needs, as well as their emotional needs. Because we are seeing, of course, with the cost of living, stagnant wages, and general sort of economic pinch, that this idea of hutching up or sharing accommodation is becoming ever more common. And of course, you would expect that amongst the sort of younger, perhaps millennial types. But interestingly, we've also noted that in the more middle-aged Gen X group, we had seen last year, for example, over 60,000 requests for room sharing by over 40-year-olds on the spareroom.com platform, which is the largest accommodation sharing website in the UK. So, there is certainly a need, and particularly because of, these sort of economic concerns, we are seeing how a growing number of millennials and also some Gen Xers, again, are turning away from the traditional institutions and towards their peers. And it's very much exemplified by this wider construct of the sharing society. So it's turning to your peers for support, but also for financial support. And this particular example is the house crowd. And it's a way for those that perhaps otherwise individually would not be able to get onto the property ladder, so that then they can split mortgage repayments and obviously, in so doing, have some kind of an investment portfolio on the go. But that then finally, there's a great example of how a brand is speaking directly to this family audience. This is Sprint in the US, obviously telecoms agency, and had created this atypical American family known as the Frobinsons. And again, the ad hopefully will give you
When you
an
switch
idea.
to Sprint's new family plan, friends are like family. So who's going to be in yours?
My girls, my lady, and my fantasy league. Except Jerry.
But the more people you add, the lower the rate.
Fine, Jerry.
Add up to 10 people, and everyone gets unlimited talk, text, and 1 gig of data for as low as $25 a month each.
We can get one more. Add my boyfriend.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. His bill's separate, right?
All the bills are separate.
Great.
The family plan from Sprint, with a new price, new plan, and an all-new network. Visit a Sprint store today.
And from the CEO of Sprint, this was the fastest growing payment plan they had ever launched. And they gathered over 1 million customers in less than 40 days. So there is clearly a huge opportunity out there for similarly packaged products. And so then to my final slide, which was really just a conclusion on the evolution of how we're seeing this modern family evolve, which obviously looking to the future as we do, we kind of try to validate where it's come from, where it's at, and where it's likely to go. And clearly, in the past, it was very much about market segmentation. There wasn't too much going on for those niche audiences, but now we're beginning to see these sort of less conventional family groups being spoken to as per the examples today, and that then where we see it going in the future is more than obviously driven by data, profile, preferences and so on, that then we're going to see even more targeted communications and delivery of products and services. So that's the quick whistle-stop tour of the modern family. And if you wanted to know more about it, you can email me, or if you had any questions.
Thank you so much.